Welcome to today's Explainer. I am so thrilled you're tuning in because we're looking at a literal monumental shift happening right now at the intersection of frontier AI and human biology. We hear all the time about AI writing code or generating wild images, but today we're diving into how AI is deciphering the fundamental operating system of life itself. Just to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of what's going on, let's look at this number. $500 million. That is $500 million. And that's the staggering swing Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan's BioHub just took on this exact technology. They are literally funding a global collaborative effort to merge advanced data science with biology in a way we've honestly never seen before. So why the $500 million bet? Well, it lines up perfectly with this massive prediction from Demis Hassabis over at Google DeepMind. He flat out said that AI could eventually end disease. And look, that's not just some sci-fi optimism anymore. This money is actively funding the open source infrastructure needed to make that quote a reality. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll cover the $500 million bet, the Billion Cells project, simulating life with VCWorld, opening the black box, and finally, what all this actually means for everyday people. All right, kicking things off with part one, a $500 million bet. So let's talk about the investment itself. We're looking at a massive push to build the shared foundation for AI-accelerated biology. The Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative, or CZI, realized a big problem. Biology research is incredibly siloed. A lab over here does one thing, another lab way over there does another. So they launched this initiative to build a truly collaborative, multidisciplinary network. They're building standardized benchmarking suites, things like Kazee benchmarks, where researchers all over the globe can contribute evaluation data and share their models. It's really about taking the isolated progress of all these individual institutions and turning it into one massive open data powerhouse. Moving right along to section 2, the Billion Cells project. Okay, so to train an AI on biology, you need data. And not just a little bit, an unfathomable amount of data. Look, we've gotten really good at understanding an isolated single cell in a lab. But human organs, they are made up of billions of cells working together. Your heart muscle alone contains roughly 2 billion specialized cells. It's mind-blowing. So the big challenge scientists are facing is how to map these massive, complex cellular communities to understand how they actually work together in health and disease. And that brings us to the crucial point. How do we actually bridge that gap? We have to contrast the physical limitations of tiny petri dishes and isolated research against the solution CZI is pushing for. The answer? Open source benchmarks and AI-trained virtual cell communities. Basically, we're moving from just observing physical cells in a super limited lab setting to coordinating the massive full measurement set needed to train a comprehensive AI model of the cell. Which brings us to part 3, simulating life with VCWorld. Let's see how this all translates into actual technology. How do you simulate biology? First, we need to understand this concept of a virtual cell. Think of it kind of like a physics engine in a video game. A physics engine calculates exactly how a digital ball is going to bounce based on gravity and mass, right? Well, a virtual cell is a computational world model that calculates how a digital cell reacts to a digital drug or a genetic edit. It predicts exactly how the cell will respond to outside changes. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it shows what makes VCWorld's architecture so totally revolutionary. It's a cell-level simulator, but instead of just looking at raw, blind statistical patterns, VCWorld actively integrates structured biological knowledge. We're talking protein-protein interactions from huge databases like UniProt and PubChem, and it combines that with the iterative reasoning capabilities of large language models. We can actually break that highly complex architecture down into 3 really digestible stages. First up is representation. This is where the AI generates rich, symbolic text descriptions for the biological entities. Second is retrieval. The model searches through vast open-world databases to find actual causal evidence, pulling analogous and contrast cases. And third is synthesis. It uses a chain of thought process to logically deduce exactly how a gene will respond to a perturbation. Guys, it literally thinks like a molecular biologist. All right, part 4, opening the black box. This thinking process is exactly why the scientific community is buzzing right now. For years, biologists have struggled with black box AI. A black box takes your data, relies strictly on statistical correlations, and spits out an answer, without showing its work at all. If it's wrong, you have no idea why. If it's right, you still don't know why. But VCWorld is a white box AI. It provides a transparent, totally traceable reasoning path for every single prediction it makes. It explicitly reveals the causal mechanisms and grounds them in established biology. It gives scientists a verifiable hypothesis they can go out and test. And this brilliantly illustrates the proof. To show this white box model actually works, researchers created the GeneTAK benchmark, which was derived from a massive dataset called Tahoe 100M. It tests whether the AI can accurately predict how specific drug changes alter gene expressions in cell lines, like this one called PANC1. And guess what? VCWorld isn't just explaining things well. It's achieving state-of-the-art predictive performance on these really rigorous tests. It is highly accurate and highly interpretable.
Which leads us to our final section, benefits for common people.
So look, we've talked about multi-million-dollar investments, complex single-cell sequencing, and intense AI architectures. But let's bring this all back down to earth, to the core focus. What is in this for you and me? Ultimately, this massive open data foundation is about fundamentally changing everyday human health. By predicting how cells respond in silico, which just means inside a computer simulation, we can drastically cut down the years and the billions of dollars spent physically screening experimental drugs. It illuminates the hidden mechanisms of complex diseases. But honestly, for the common person, the absolute biggest breakthrough here is true personalized medicine. Imagine bypassing those agonizing months of trial and error when a doctor prescribes you a new medication. Instead of waiting around to see if you suffer frustrating side effects or if the drug even works at all, an AI could digitally test how your unique cellular makeup will react to a therapy before you ever swallow a single pill. That is a real game changer. Which leaves us with a truly thrilling prospect. The merging of frontier AI and biology, it's no longer a distant dream. The infrastructure is being built right now, and the models are already accurately predicting life at the cellular level. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. If AI can perfectly simulate human biology, what disease will we conquer first? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.